Hello and welcome. My name's Richard, and you're listening to
Hurry, the movie is starting podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good day, because today seems like a great day to have a good day, if you know what I'm saying. Today we're going to be pre-gaming the horror movie, Him, coming out next week. But before we dive into that, I just want to say, if you haven't checked out my last episode, go ahead and check that out now. We were talking GRQ with the writer and director, Steven Bernstein. So if you haven't checked that episode out, I highly recommend it. I was blessed enough to be able to talk to Mr. Bernstein, pick his mind, and just be able to experience the intellect that is Steven Bernstein. That was amazing. Just a fantastic opportunity, and glad I got to be able to get to understand like the filmmaking process a little bit more and get to pick the mind of one of the great artists that is Mr. Steven Bernstein. So if you haven't checked out that episode, go ahead and check it out now. The advice from Mr. Bernstein is unparalleled, so if you want to just listen to it for advice, go ahead and skip past my parts and just go listen to him, because that is where the value's at right there. It's amazing episode, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't checked it out now. But this episode, we're diving back into horror. Oh yeah, the movie I've been hyped for all freaking year. We're talking about Him. Comes out September 19th, rated R, and it will run at 1 hour and 36 minutes. This is a quote-unquote Jordan Peele film, but he is not the director. Directing this movie is Justin Tipping. Now, let's get into the plot. What is the plot, you might be asking? The plot of this movie. Well, if you've seen the trailer, it's heavily about football, which I'm excited about, because I have never seen a horror football movie. And the closest thing that comes to mind about horror and football was Any Given Sunday, when one of the players lost one of their eyes and it's just sitting there on the field. That was probably the most horrifying experience I've ever seen in a sports-centric movie. So now we get a movie that is featuring football, but it's also a darker meaning. So I'm excited for this movie. I've been hyped all year. I'm ready for a good horror film about sports. So the plot of this movie: a young athlete descends into a world of terror when he's invited to train with legendary champion whose charisma curdles into something darker. Boom, we're leaving with that word charisma again. Charisma is such a dangerous tool, because someone that can talk, someone that can influence, someone that can manipulate, someone that can inspire, yet have ulterior motives, can be a very dangerous person in this world. And we are seeing right here and there that the character, which Marlon Wayans is going to be playing that character in this movie, is going to be the charisma superstar that has something deeper planned. So that right there just already getting me hooked. So in preparation for this movie, I went to sci-fi.com because they had an article about the preview of this movie, and one question they had on there that really sparked my interest is, to be a star, what are you willing to sacrifice? And that is a dangerous question, because as someone who's been in sports my entire life, you have to sacrifice a lot to be good at sports. You have to sacrifice your time. You have to sacrifice your emotions. You have to sacrifice your patience. There is so much stuff. You have to sacrifice your body at times. There is so much stuff you have to sacrifice in this world, on yourself, to be good at a certain thing. Whether it's time, money, patience, energy, all these things that really add up. But in this context of this movie, it seems like you're going to actually have to sacrifice something a little bit more deeper, a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more darker. Jordan Peele said Him means the GOAT, which, if you don't know what GOAT means, it's greatest of all time. So there you go. You can add that to your lexicon. Someone ever says, "Oh, hey, you're the GOAT," take that as a compliment. That's typically a good compliment, unless they're saying you look like a goat. Then that might be a different kind of compliment there. So Him means GOAT, and it is the person who deserves respect among all others. Immediately comes to mind Tom Brady. Unfortunately, I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but I respect the heck out of this dude. This dude, just look at his resume. He is the GOAT. And boom, there's this example right there. I'm not a personal fan of Tom Brady, but because he is the GOAT, the literal GOAT, he deserves respect, and I give him that respect. I mean, it's just a unwritten rule for sports fans and whatnot, but it is what it is. He is the GOAT. Oh man, it hurts me to say that out loud. On speaking about how he wanted this film to look, Justin Tipping, the director of this film, wanted to set it up in a way that feels like we're in Friday Night Lights or a Nike ad. Now, if you think about Friday Night Lights, what do you think about? For me, I immediately think about that movie poster, that iconic movie poster. The poster with the three players coming to step on the field holding hands, and all you see in the foreground is just the giant packed stadium, fully like sold out crowd right in front of them, and the three lights pointing down onto them. You also see like behind those lights just darkness. And that movie poster was like, it's such an iconic poster to me because you have the duality of like fullness and then up in the sky emptiness. Because when you're playing sports, when you're playing these Friday Night Lights, these football games in high school, the only thing typically in these like deeper towns where football is their livelihood, the only thing that really matters is this game. So to symbolize that in this photo where the bottom half is full, the top half is empty, it is a lot deeper of a poster than I think some people give it credit for. And it's a poster that I really like, and just the contrast and the style of this design of this poster gives that dark and dreary fear feeling, because you know in this sport, in this game, in this moment, if you fail, it could be something as bad as death based on how the fandom surrounding you. So that was just an interesting tidbit that I picked up reading a little bit from sci-fi.com about Justin Tipping's style for this movie. So that little tidbit got me hyped up too. And it's going to take a lot for me not to be hyped up about this movie. I'm a huge sports fan, and now we're getting sports and horror, two genres that I have grown up with my entire life, blending together. We have sports, which I've loved because of my dad. We have horror, which I love because of my nana, just fusing together, and we got this epic movie coming out next week. It also, like, for these things too, sports tends to be a distraction from our lives or from our failures or from our successes, and we can just sit down, forget everything at the door, and just watch this moment unfold. So that was another thought that came to my mind. Justin Tipping said, "We are rooting for the kid who just needs to unlock one thing to take it all to the next level. And then we subvert the expectations and let it become Nosferatu or Ex Machina, and let it evolve or devolve depending on your sensibilities into something it's not." Boom. So that right there, we have this character who's trying to get to where he wants to go, and he cannot get there until he sacrifices. Immediately makes me think of Kylo Ren. I need help, but I'm not sure if you can help me. And then he sacrifices Han Solo. But it takes a dark turn. So we have this sports movie that is just like, okay, you have to sacrifice more. You have to become stronger. You have to become faster. You have to become the GOAT. But what are you going to do to get there? And then it seems like that's when it takes the occult turn, where we're going to have to deal with tributes, sacrifices, some demonic looking stuff that it looks like. I mean, even one of the posters for this movie where the main character is holding two footballs out to his arm, like holding out his arms fully into holding the footballs out to the side, it is very, very reminiscent to the crucifixion of Christ, because on the crucifixion of Christ, you know, his arms are out to the side, his legs straight down, and he's like posed in that T pose, and that is the symbolism I'm getting in this one. So it feels like this is going to be a dark, like occult type of demonic, you know, like the Jordan Peele standard. Something starts off simple and then it just goes down a rabbit hole, and it looks like the rabbit hole of this one is going to be a dark and dreary place. So the Christian in me is concerned a little bit about that aspect of it, but you know, I've been struggling recently, honestly, with watching horror movies and my religion, because I've started going to church more. And some people believe that you're not allowed, like, you shouldn't be watching horror movies because it invites the door open for something else. And that's all I could think when I was watching The Conjuring. So I don't know. It's still something like that I'm wrestling with, and I got to pray a little bit more about it. But for here today, we're going to be talking about this movie. Just as long as you go into this movie knowing that it is fiction, it is not real. So that I guess helps out, is just knowing that you're just listening to a story. One thing I was like reading about when you're watching horror movies as a Christian is when it start becoming like a more real topic, which honestly, how many professional players in sports right now do you think sold their souls? That's a real question for you. Because like growing up, I didn't think any. I thought that all these people were just natural talents and are just really good at their craft or really good at building up who they are. But now, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this world anymore, and I can't claim to know what's going on in this world. So that's just the part that worries me a little bit about this film. For the longest time, I was like going into researching Illuminati and all that crazy stuff, and this just heavily reminds me of that, and it makes me feel uncomfortable, which makes me like to get to know about it even more, which, I don't know, that's a weird thing to say. But anyways, that's what this movie is going to be about. And I'm excited that we finally get a horror sports movie. So as someone who's played sports my whole life, sports isn't just a game. It's not just a game. A lot of people say, oh, it's just a game. And yes, you can play it as such. But when you get in that thick and thin of sports, it's more than just a game. your entire world. So to actually create a movie where it looks like the external and internal sacrifices must be made at a more extreme level than in the real world, we're going to have something interesting pop off here. So as I said before, directing this movie is not Peele. It's actually Justin Tipping, who has done Nani in 2012, a short film, Kicks, which is about a pair of Jordans. So I'm wondering if maybe he got looked at by Jordan Peele from this movie about Jordans. I mean, that would be ironic a little bit, wouldn't it? But Jordans are like a very sports-centric kind of shoe because they're after Michael Jordan. And then he also is working on a TV show called Black Monday. The cast of this movie features Tyreek Withers. If you haven't seen him before, you might have seen him in I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot. Hopefully you didn't see him in that movie, because that movie was terrible. You got Marlon Wayans in a serious role, a comedic actor in a serious role, which I absolutely love that. For me, when you see like a character that you always are laughing about and then they go into a serious role, it kind of hits differently inside of your heart, because it's like erases a lot of the stuff they've done. It doesn't erase, but it just kind of jumps over all the stuff they've done in the past and then brings them to this role right now. And you're like, whoa, like I didn't know they can be this person, because in all of their other roles they're happy-go-lucky and now they're evil. It just hits you differently inside. So I love this casting from Marlon Wayans. It looks like he's going to be the villain, and he's going to be the quote-unquote GOAT superstar that is the teacher in this movie. We got Julia Fox. If that name sounds familiar, you probably remember her from Uncut Gems. Another movie that I feel like that's a great horror movie. It's not really labeled a horror movie. It's more of like a suspense, drama, thriller kind of movie like that. But to me, because I've lived those experiences in my past, that is a horror movie, and I feel so uncomfortable watching that movie. You got Jordan Smith, Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Jim Jeffries, Naomi Grossman, Gabriela Alicia Ortega, and Don Benjamin rounding out this film. There's a lot more actors, but those are the ones that are at the top of the film. And for fun facts, we only have one fun fact for you today. They threw a football-themed gathering, aka a training camp, in Venice, California that led to a meet and greet with cast members where you can meet and greet and just chill around with some football-type environment. Oh, that would have been epic to be able to go to. I bet they had some really good food there too, honestly. And since that's the end of fun facts, that'll bring us to
the comment section.
First
Over,
comment
under,
from
final
Pro
thoughts.
2010. This movie takes never meet your heroes to the next level. So I believe what Little Crow is talking about here, how our expectation of people based on where we see what we see on a screen can typically be a facade. We've heard stories of people being like, oh, this celebrity was a douchebag, this celebrity was this celebrity was that, because we see this person on the screen and that's all we see. We see someone like Chris Evans, who has been this good character, this classy guy. In his interviews, seems like he's been just a stand-up great actor. Seems like a great guy, and then someone meets him and they have a bad experience, and then their expectations are shattered and they see who they really are. I am not saying Chris Evans is a douchebag. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm just using him as an example because the last episode was Honey Don't. If you haven't checked that one out, go ahead and check that one out too. But that is just a segue to that. At Samuel257 said, Marlon Wayans being in this movie is exactly why I love comedic actors in serious roles. He totally crushed it, all caps on that, crushed it by the way, in Requiem for a Dream. I do not, I've heard about this movie several times, Requiem for a Dream. I have not seen it yet. And you know what? I'm going to add it to my list. I am going to add it right now to my list. You might be asking, hey, you're going to add it to a list? What list are you going to add this movie to? Well, I'm glad you asked. With Letterboxd, the mobile app, you can add movies, rate movies, and follow your friends to see what movies they like. And that's where I'm going to add Requiem for a Dream. Check out Letterboxd. So easy to just Requiem for a Dream, boom. 2000, directed by Darren Aronofsky. And then you just click it. Boom, add to watch list, and it is there. Now, because if I'm getting pulled down by the struggles of life, I can just know that it's on my watch list. Not a sponsor, by the way. At Adams Movie Breakdown says, I still can't believe we're getting a sports/horror thriller movie, especially a football movie. Can't wait to check this out. Exactly. We have never, in my experience, we have never had a sports horror movie. And again, like I said earlier, Any Given Sunday had that eye moment, and Uncut Gems gives me that feeling of horror, but it's because I've just lived through the experiences. A lot of people do not like Uncut Gems because people who have not been in that gambling addict cycle, they don't know the struggle that you really go internally. So that's about the closest I've seen to sports horror. So I'm excited for this one too. Shout out to Adam's Movie Breakdown. At Kingsley Laurent 562 says, all you creators out there, put your work out there, no matter what, no matter how weird or how different it may be. Freaking exactly, dude. Exactly. We are often our own worst enemies, and that voice inside of our head often shoots our own ideas down. So why not just do what you want to do? Know that who you are was designed by God and to be in this world, to be who you are currently at this moment, to do what you want to do. And I'm not saying that in some kind of negative way or some kind of negative context, inspiring people to do terrible things in this world. I'm saying to create how you want to create. You can think like, oh, I draw terribly, or oh, I sound horribly, or oh, nobody wants to listen to me, or oh, nobody wants to watch this. Just create it and see what happens. Just put you out there and see how many people out there really do appreciate who you is. That's great advice there by Kings Laurent 562. At Zephyr 1249 says, let's all remember, this is not, all caps on that, not a Jordan Peele movie. This is a Justin Tipping movie. Producing is not, again, all caps there, the same as directing. Yes. Yes. Now, whether that means it'll be a better movie or a worse movie, that is up to y'all. But don't go into this movie thinking, oh, this is another Jordan Peele directed movie, because it is not. We are seeing Justin Tipping as a director of this Jordan Peele horror movie. So I'm excited to see how this goes, because I'm pretty sure all Peele's horror movies in the past have been directed by himself. So this is the first one that he's actually given to someone else. So excited to see how this goes. That's going to bring us to... Now, if you didn't listen into the last episode, I lost. My current record is 6-6-2. I had Honey Don't going over the line of 6, and it's currently sitting at 5.4.5 out of 10,000 on 6,000 votes. So it is a loss. Honey Don't couldn't get there. So this one's a tough line because Jordan Peele is not the director, but I'm still comparing it with Jordan Peele's horror movies because as a producer, he has to have some say in the matter, and his vision is included. So I'm going to assume that it's going to be very similar to his style. But just saying, but based on Jordan Peele's last movies, we had Nope at a 6.8, Us at a 6.8, Get Out at a 7.8. So I am going to make the line for this movie at the average of those three movies and make it 7.1. Now, do I think it's going to go over 7.1 on IMDb, or do I think it's going to go under 7.1? I'm hyped for this movie. I'm going in with the expectation that this is going to be a 8.5 to 10. I know my expectations are very weird at times, but those are my own expectations, so I'm going over here. As we've seen, my record's 6-6-2, so my expectations are only right less than half the time. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shows out. I do think it could fail miserably if it doesn't get to where we want it to go. Like, I think if they focus more on horror than sports, it can kind of drizzle out the sports fans. I think if it focuses more on sports than horror, I think it can drizzle out a little bit of the horror fans. But I don't know. If it's done perfectly, you get the action of the sports and then that excitement / fear of horror to just blend it all together and make this potential masterpiece of a movie. But that's the over-under. I'm going over 7.1. Which would be interesting to see, because I really enjoyed The Conjuring Last Rites, but seeing the reviews for that movie is not that great. I think I'm just unconnected with the mass population at the moment. But that's the end of Over Under, and that'll lead me to my... So, we get a sports horror movie. It seems like it's going to be turning sacrifices that sports players have to make in order to advance their game into a more into a more personified thing where we're actually going to have to make sacrifices in darker, deeper ways. I also want to mention that him was supposed to be Weapons ? So a little bit of the tea on Weapons and Jordan Peele and all this situation that was going on. New Line Cinema won Weapons for $38 million, which was $7 million more than Peele's offered on behalf of production company Monkey Paw Productions. Peele lost bidding war because Universal Pictures felt uneasy about the budget as a business proposition, and they walked away. New Line Cinema clearly felt otherwise, and the rest is history. As we've seen, Weapons has been released. Fantastic film, destroying box office left and right. and it's just going up and up and up. So on the aftermath of Peele not getting the rights to weapons, he fired 2 major members of his management team. Thus, now we get him. So, is him a replacement for weapons? Could be. Could be. This could be what weapons was supposed to be, but since they didn't achieve the rights to weapons, they had to create this movie instead, which could be a good thing. It could be a good thing, because on paper, this movie excites me more than weapons, just because I've grown up with sports my whole life, but just because the content matter and just the subject matter and just, I don't know, it just looks like it can be a good movie. So perhaps losing a bidding war can win you a better movie than this one. Who knows? But for now, it'll be an uphill battle. Will it pass weapons in the battle of the one-word horror films of 2025? Who knows? You have to go watch it and see. That is going to be it for the pregame for the movie Him. However, if you want to stick around a little bit and hear the leaderboard for the movies of the year, I got you covered. So, top 3 movies for the weekend of September 5th through the 7th. We got Conjuring Last Rites at 84 million. Boom. Boom. I thought that was a great movie. I rated that way higher than I anticipated. Just the chemistry of Patrick and I forget the actress's name that plays Lorraine. Just them two in that movie. Their relationship is goals, and just the contrast of that and then the darkness occurring in that movie is just beautiful. It's poetic. And now we're hearing stories about the real life Warrens, and it seems like their relationship wasn't always that beautiful, but as long as we can have this false, beautiful relationship on the big screen, that's all that matters, because love is all that matters. And people aren't perfect, but sometimes the love we give can be a lot more deeper than perfect. Number 2 on that weekend list was Hamilton, a 2025 re-release, a movie I still have not seen. Even though there's friends I know that have told me I need to watch it ASAP, I still have not seen it. I'm not a huge musical fan, but clearly you guys are, because that got 10.1 million on a re-release. And then number 3 is Weapons at 5.2 million. Still doing strong in the box office despite being out for a couple of weeks now. But the top movies of 2025. Last time I did this, there were some different movies on here. So we got a new shake in the top 2025 of the leaderboard. Number 1, no shake there. We still got Minecraft movie at 423.9. But right behind, sniffing its trail, it sees it on the overpass. It's right there, right behind it, is Lilo and Stitch at 423.6. Whew, only 0.3 million away from a Minecraft movie. Will it catch it? Who knows? Who knows? And number 3. Bro, I am hyped for this one. I am excited for this one. When I tell you I have been in the depths of DC, getting trampled on left and right. Marvel this, Marvel that. Oh, I like DC. Oh, so you have bad taste. Bruh. I have been a huge DC fan growing up. And just the comics, Batman's one of my favorite superheroes, and his stories are so dark. Like the darkness, the tragedy, the grittiness that occurs in Batman, it pulls me in so hard. So DC has always been something I've admired growing up. But Marvel films have always been a lot better. And Dark Knight, besides Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, those are cinema right there. But besides those, Marvel has typically destroyed DC in the live-action box office. But not anymore! Not anymore! We got Superman at number 3 at 353.5 million. Boom! We got DC on the top 5 leaderboard at number 3. That's what I'm talking about. Where's Fantastic Four? Where's Captain America Brave New World? Where's Thunderbolt? Thunderbolts is a great movie, by the way. You should check that one out. I'm not talking crap about it. I'm just saying where is it at on this segment, but yeah, it is. Where is it? Where are they? They're not on the leaderboard because Superman is there. Let's freaking go, DC. Let's freaking go. I'm hyped for this DC run. DC's about to overtake Marvel. I think Marvel can potentially save it with Doomsday, but I don't know. If they keep doing what they're doing, DC's going to just run away with it, in my opinion. I feel like people are starting to get tired of Marvel, but maybe not, because a lot of people did like Fantastic Four. I thought it was okay, but anyways, that's number 3. I'm sorry, that's just my DC love there. My passion burns bright for DC. And then James Gunn is just, that dude, just legendary in his own aspect. Number 4, another one, dude. This top 5 list is incredible to me, because we got Jurassic World Rebirth, a movie that I never would have expected to be on this top 5 of 2025. Is it universal? Yes. Is it about dinosaurs? Yes. Is it a passion that I've loved since my childhood? Yes. And they're on number 4 on the leaderboard with 339.2 million. Whoa, fantastic. And then number 5, you get Sinners at $278.6 million, which is still sticking up there. So it's good to see them up at the top. I think they should be a lot higher on that list, but, it's out of theaters now, so they can't gain any box office because of that. That is going to be the end of this podcast episode. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. Be on the lookout for the next episode. Is going to be on The Smashing Machine, which is a sports biopic featuring The Rock. It looks like it's going to be a very deep, sad, true story. Those are the movies that hit you deep inside, kind of add that inspiration to the fire. And then also Good Boy, a horror movie from the perspective of a dog. So excited to talk about these ones to y'all. That's going to be the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping by. God bless. Hope you have a great weekend. And don't forget, all right, the movie is starting. Thanks, y'all. Love you. Bye.